Happy Valentine's Day to our significant others out there. Field Yates is not yet. And over the course of the last 2 hours, apparently his Twitter timeline is abuzz. It's getting crowded, so hurry up. We plan to make his day and your day with him very special.
And we got a snowstorm coming, so you better make plans quick before Field is trapped here. Probably got to be someone from the Northeast because I'm not sure about the planes and the situation going on. I mean, we're working quick here for Field.
Yeah, we are.
I didn't throw him under the bus, by the way. He put this out there. He said he was looking for someone.
We're here to help. And now we're off to Dallas, SMU, game day. We're off to ESPN 2. Enjoy game day.
City for shy, retiring types. Big hats, big splashes, big stars. Home of America's team, Mavericks and Mustangs at SMU. The ponies are galloping for the NCAA tournament for the first time in more than 2 decades. And college game day in front of the mob at Moody Coliseum for the first time ever. Tonight, red out conditions as SMU welcomes UConn as we go uptown Dallas.
Sending it in with authority over the big fella. Orange base missed it, and Kentucky has survived.
Wait a minute. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. Come on, dance, jump on me. If you sad and phony. Don't believe it, just watch.
Welcome to College Game Day, covered by State Farm.
This mob can get a little moody, especially if you don't pony up. SMU's raucous student section called the mob because Larry Brown's the godfather. It'll be a sea of red tonight, encouraging all of the fans to wear red as UConn comes calling. Just missed the NCAA tournament a year ago, but hoping to leave no doubt this time around. Reese Davis, Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg, and an amazingly lifelike appearance from Jay Billis, too.
Hey, the only way to put a muzzle on Billis and not talk about officiating, right here. Billis, stand down.
And another thing. And another thing. I think that's a life-size representation of Jay's head, too. By the way, Billis is not with us. He's calling the Syracuse-Duke game in Syracuse today. We'll hear from Jay coming up in just a little while. You know, 1 month from tomorrow is Selection Sunday. SMU left out last year. UConn was not. Their last 2 titles came in unexpected fashion. Kemba Walker leading them in 2011. Shabazz Napier and Ryan Boatwright doing so last year. You know, of the last 7 national champions, 5 of them have led the nation in efficiency differential, meaning how much better is your offense, how much better is your defense. The 2 exceptions, UConn. That's because UConn had a dynamic player. And you look at where UConn was in his last 2 championship seasons, 19-5 overall. Different conference in 2011, but about the same record. AP rank was a little better in 2011. That is not really too far away from where SMU sits right at this moment as they go into this game against UConn tonight. But I think that the one thing that's important is you look at Selection Sunday being just over a month away. And we've talked about Kentucky, and rightfully so. But a lot of times the champion comes from off the radar. Who is a team that has some of the same characteristics that those 2 UConn teams presented that could be a dark horse contender for a title?
When I think of a team, I think more of a player. Who can summon their inner Shabazz Napier, their inner Kemba Walker? And when I think of a player, I think of D'Angelo Russell. What? He's a freshman, but he's a 6'4" freshman that can not only score it for himself, but make plays for others. He's averaging almost 20 points a game. He can beat you off the bounce and get to the rim. 40% three-point shooter. He sees the floor, makes other players better, and he's an alert defender. in my opinion, D'Angelo Russell possibly can have a Kemba-type experience and take Ohio State to the Final Four.
Interesting to see for Ohio State who decides to step up down low in the post. Amir Williams, do they have enough sides? And Kemba Walker had Shabazz Napier. Shabazz Napier had Ryan Boatwright. Could Mark Loving be that for D'Angelo Russell?
Shannon Scott.
Or Shannon Scott, exactly. I've been big on them the whole year, and I know people will wonder how will they execute in the half court, but I love the way Arkansas plays. Now, they may not be 40 minutes of hell the way Northern Richardson's teams were in the past, but still, they have the athletes to get up underneath you defensively, apply a lot of pressure, and create a ton of turnovers. They're top 15 in the nation in turnovers forced per game. They play a huge number of possessions, top 10 in that category as well. And then they have Bobby Portis down low. I know you're a big SEC guy. Bobby Portis is a man. 19 points, 9 rebounds, and people don't talk about this team at all. Underrated.
You need a point guard to get to the Final Four.
Rashad Madden can get you there now.
Nobody said SMU. Their record and their numbers very similar to UConn. Larry Brown told me yesterday that if they had Emmanuel Mudiay, they would be 1, 2, or 3 in the country. That's the point guard that they'd recruited here that opted to sign a professional contract in China. But I get the sense that even though you gave me the D'Angelo Russell comparison to Kemba Walker, you're not buying any of it, that you were trying to find this year's UConn. Does one exist?
I love me some D'Angelo Russell and Thad Matta, but to me the reality is there are 5 or 6 teams, that's it. When you look at the best in college basketball,
that's
separated themselves.
That's it?
Kentucky is here, and then right below them, Tier 2, you got the Wisconsins, the Dukes, the Arizonas, the Gonzagas. To me, that's the reality of the situation we're in this year.
Weren't we saying the same thing last year?
We were.
Saying Florida was far and away the best team. Maybe Michigan State with all those seniors. And out of all the teams we talked about last year, Florida's the only one that even made the Final Four.
By the way, we all picked Michigan State to win it last year. Every analyst on game day, we picked Michigan State.
Different year.
Okay, Arizona lost at Oregon State. I mean, there are games that go happen throughout the year. Wisconsin, even though Frank Kaminsky didn't play, they lose at Rutgers. I mean, there are multiple.
Even though Frank Kaminsky,
that's a pretty big
I'm saying, it takes one great game by a team who gets hot at the right time.
For 2 weekends,
Okay.
College basketball, a lot of teams with scars. Every one of those teams I mentioned, they have some scars. They have some warts. But to me, when you compare the top 4 or 5 to the rest of America, there is a separation, in my opinion, this year. You can throw maybe some shot-making teams in there, like maybe a Notre Dame and Iowa State, but there's still a separation.
That's fine that there's a separation, but just because there's a separation doesn't mean that one team can't be better on one given night.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that we've seen. On one given night, UConn was a 7 seed last year, and one would think that SMU is going to be in that range. Ohio State, maybe Arkansas, too, will be in that range. 1 month from Sunday when Selection Sunday arrives, but one of the chosen few, according to Seth Greenberg, is Duke. They play Syracuse tonight. Jay Billis is going to be there in the Carrier Dome in front of 35,446 people. It'll be a sellout, matching last year's crowd when the Blue Devils and the Orange got together. I want you to think about this with Syracuse as Jay Billis joins us in just a moment. This game on February 1st, 2014 was one of the best of the season. Now, since departing Rashid Suleiman, putting the game into overtime in the controversial no foul call as Rodney Hood tried to get the slam dunk, and Syracuse won it in overtime. The crowd will be similar. The circumstances are not. Jay Billis is with us from inside the Carrier Dome now. Jay, Syracuse's last 3 wins, and really only 4 wins over the last month, and come against the bottom of the ACC. What real threat is this Orange team to Duke in the Carrier Dome tonight?
Well, I think the threat is, Reese, if Syracuse can hit shots. If Trevor Cooney is knocking down shots, if Michael Benajay is knocking down perimeter shots, Syracuse can be a dangerous team, and they're a different team. If they're not hitting, if Trevor Cooney, who plays more minutes than any other player in the ACC, he's only been out of the game for 1 minute over the course of 11 ACC games. If he's not hitting shots, it makes it more difficult for Syracuse to score. And they've got Rakeem Christmas this year, who's a legitimate low-post threat, averaging 19 points a game, just under 10 rebounds. He's blocking 2.5 shots. He's played as well as any big guy in the country. That matchup with Jahlil Okafor is going to be a great one, but it's only a great matchup between Duke and Syracuse if Syracuse's perimeter guys are able to knock down perimeter shots, because Duke's a better shooting team. They're a better offensive team. And Syracuse is not as long, they're not as athletic along the front line as they have been, and they're not as big up front on that 2-3 zone. So they're having a more difficult time getting stops. They're going to have to make shots, and that comes down to Cooney and Benajay, frankly.
All right, Jay, Duke and Syracuse, a headline game on this Saturday. Jay will join us a little bit later on in College Game Day from Dallas. You know, it was 70 seasons ago that Bob Curland of Oklahoma A&M was the first guy to throw down in a game, and certainly the first guy, at least he's credited with that, to use the dunk in the game. So we've got Bobby Farquhar and Marquise Chapman out here to provide a little dunk entertainment.
It's a warm-up. It's a warm-up.
No, the first guy went all J-Will on his dunk.
I lost my balance just a little bit.
How about Bob Curland 70 years ago this season? Jumped up there. It led to some consternation among some of the purists in college basketball. We'll talk about the best dunkers all time and also the best dunkers in the game today as College Game Day rolls on. Who are the greatest dunkers of all time? We've asked you that on Twitter. Also, the best dunk of the year. You'll be able to weigh in. And after a week of close calls, is there cause for concern for Coach Cal in Kentucky and what Cal just found out that he now has to celebrate coming up later inside College Game Day? And the game lost a couple of legends this past week. Just what kind of impact did Dean Smith and Jerry Tarkanian leave behind? And we'll also have Larry Brown joining us. Certainly few have had a greater impact on Larry than Dean Smith.
College Game Day is covered by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
Introducing the State Farm National Bureau of Assists. Sebastian Curry, twin of Stephen Curry, has a master's in disasters. Summer Bird, twin of Sue Bird, stops at nothing except stoplights. Darius Lillard, twin of Damian Lillard, says there's no I in assist. Don Stockton, twin of John Stockton, Chief Assist Officer. And of course, Cliff Paul, assisting has a new starting five.
Cheez-It Grooves are the best of both worlds, like a Cheez-It and a chip.
Oh, you just put them together.
Yes.
Closer. Closer. They're kissing.
We take time for our cheese to mature in our crispy Cheez-It Grooves.
Looks like the Garcias got a new car.
What'd they get?
I don't know.
Sure doesn't look like a Buick.
Buick.
I'm outside. Where are you? I'm right here. I'm in the Buick. I don't see a Buick.
Take a fresh look at Buick. It just might surprise you.
That's not a Buick. That's what I told him. Wow. This is nice. Oh, my.
Now during the Buick President's Day event, get $5,000 total cash back on select Buick sedans in stock the longest.
Edward Jones.
With nearly 7 million investors,
Oh, hey, Neil. How are you?
you'd expect us to have a highly skilled call center.
Kevin, Neil Hawley's on line 1.
Okay, great.
And we do. It's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing.
That is big time. The Wildcats' pursuit of perfection continues against the Gamecocks. Then the number 4 Blue Devils battle the rival Orange. South Carolina, Kentucky at 2. Then Duke, Syracuse at 6:15. Today on ESPN.
Like a child, this Cree LED bulb could be in your house for decades. Unlike a child, it'll pay for itself and spend its life saving you money. And it will never pierce its tongue.
The Cree LED bulb.
So you've won your first big tournament. Now what? Stock up for the next one.
Save like a pro at Bass Pro Shop's Spring Fishing Classic. Like Bass Pro utility boxes, buy 2, get 1 free. Save $30 on new Johnny Moore's Carbon Light Baitcast reels. And the Lowrance Elite 5 HD Color Fish Finder for under $300.
Your total comes to $123.52.
At Jared, we have a lot more jewelry than ordinary jewelry stores. But it's more than just more. It's unique, like our exclusive Heart's Desire diamond jewelry. But wait, there's more.
Aww.
The aw moment. That's why he went to Jared.
Oh. Is that the Wendy's bacon and blue?
Yep. I love me some blue cheese.
Blue cheese? What do you think? You better than me?
Come on. I mean, yeah, it has bacon and blue cheese aioli.
Holy aioli, you do think you're better than me.
Don't forget the brioche bun.
Brioche bun, you definitely think you're better than me.
I don't think I'm better than you just because it has blue cheese.
Blue cheese? What, you think you're better than him? Wendy's new bacon and blue on brioche. 100% fresh beef, Wisconsin blue cheese, and applewood smoked bacon. What could be better than that?
For fans of a second-half surge. For fans of elevated expectations. This is your game. Cavs Wizards at 8. Spurs Warriors at 10:30. Friday on ESPN.
Jerry Tarkanian would have been the first to tell you he had little in common with Dean Smith, other than the obvious. Both men were born in the Midwest. Both men won lots of games, national championships, and the unwavering loyalty of those who played for them. But Tark was no Smith, nor did he aspire to be. And Smith was definitely no Tark. Smith coached in the basketball conference, the aristocratic ACC. His North Carolina teams played with a certain elegance that reflected Smith's sensibilities. He was once hung in effigy by disgruntled Tar Heel fans. Now the arena bears his name. But the truth is, you don't define Smith by the nets he cut down, but by the barriers he helped break, the standard he set. Tarkanian set a standard throughout his career too, especially at UNLV. It was a standard of basketball excellence, but also of defiance. The renegade Tark spent years in a legal fistfight with the NCAA, an organization he despised until his last breath. He was a coach without pretenses, but almost never without his sideline towel. And his teams played with an edge and a fury that reflected their proudly inelegant coach. Smith and Tark are gone now. One man known for his character, another man known for being a character. They will be missed, of course, but more than anything, they will be remembered.
A tremendous impact on the game by Dean Smith and Jerry Tarkanian. As you look at their numbers, Smith went to 11 Final Fours, and it is noteworthy, I think, that Tarkanian won the single NCAA title. Think about the coaches it took to knock him out of the other 3 trips to the Final Four. Dean Smith, Bob Knight, Mike Krzyzewski. So Tarkanian certainly put together a magnificent legacy, as Dean Smith most certainly did as well. And Gene Wojciechowski, you did a brilliant job on that essay, by the way. Touched on this, Seth. Where do you see more similarities than differences between Jerry Tarkanian and Dean Smith?
I think they had a lot of similarities. First, both were coaches. They were tremendous teachers. When I think about both teams, North Carolina under Dean Smith, UNLV under Jerry Tarkanian, no teams played harder than those two teams. No teams had a greater attention to detail. Both teams played in transition. And when you talk about fighters, all right, Dean Smith was a fighter. He was an agent for change. He was involved in civil rights well before anyone even realized as an assistant coach. Well, Jerry Tarkanian, he was a fighter. He fought the NCAA. He fought for his players. He fought for what was right and won. And then finally, you think about players. Both coaches, their players are so loyal to them, and they were loyal back to their players. And if you speak to a former Tark player, they'll tell you, maybe never made a major decision without speaking to Coach Tark. If you speak to a member of the firm or a member of the North Carolina family, and Dean Smith was the most, maybe excluding their parents, the most influential figure in their lives. So I think, although they're very different, I think they both had a lot of the same characteristics, and both were coaches that cared deeply for their players, and their players cared deeply back for them.
As you were coming out of high school as a superstar recruit, it was right toward the end of Dean Smith's career at North Carolina. What was it like when he reached out to you, given what you knew about the Carolina brand and the family?
Well, it was interesting because at that time I was receiving a lot of letters from universities, and they were typed letters, you know, and usually the coach would sign his name at the end. Whereas Dean Smith and Michael Krzyzewski, I got handwritten letters. And they took time, the attention to detail, to talk to me. Just not another generic letter coming to another recruit. It was like, hey, I want to invest in you. And I evaluate the greatness of a coach between the relationship that the player has with the coach. And this lifespan that we have in college basketball is so short. And people forget about the bigger game, which is the game of life. And, you know, for me, having a guy like Coach K come to my side at my hospital and be there with me and continue to coach me throughout my tenure, even here at ESPN. You hear Michael Jordan or Charlie Scott continue to talk about the fact that Dean Smith has been a second father figure to them. That's how you evaluate true greatness as a coach, because they're coaching you throughout the course of your life, just not for 4 years.
The sentiments echoed by Tarkanian's players as well, not only at UNLV, but at Fresno State. Guys like Chris Herron, who was on the Colin Cowherd show this week, talking about that very thing as Jay Billis rejoins us now. And Jay, Seth touched on something interesting, I think, with both Dean Smith and Jerry Tarkanian and their impact on the culture, whether it be civil rights or giving athletes second chances and fighting the establishment of the NCAA. How do you see these two in terms of comparisons?
Well, on the court, Reese, both of them were clear Naismith Hall of Famers. It's not close. And Dean Smith's impact on the game of basketball from an X&O perspective was profound. I mean, it's still the best book I've ever read on basketball, his book, Multiple Offense and Defense. And you could say a similar thing about Jerry Tarkanian, maybe not to the same level of Coach Smith, but his innovations in defense and the way he coached his teams, and they played fast. They played slower at Long Beach State, played much faster at UNLV and then Fresno State. But I think the off-the-court stuff, one of the things that Jerry Tarkanian did was he made it clear that not every player is going to fit into the NCAA's neat little box. And he gave players second chances. He recruited players that others might not have recruited. He paved the way for a lot of junior college players and transfers to come in. Now transfers, you see them all the time. You didn't see them as often back then. You didn't see junior college players come into the game as often back then. And he championed second chances for players. Dean Smith's players loved him, and they revered him. Jerry Tarkanian's players love him at the same level. And I think when you hear, and you mentioned it, Reese, when you hear both of those coaches' players talk about them, it's not something you have to parse their words. You can feel it. And Jay made the statement, like the relationships they had with their players, I think, are their greatest legacy. And I think that's what I'll remember most about both of them.
Jay, no question. Jay Billis joining us from Syracuse, where he'll call the Syracuse-Duke game tonight, along with Dan Schulman and Shannon Spade. Jay, good talking to you. Jay mentioned the impact that Dean Smith had on his players. He had an enormous impact on coaches as well. Have a look at this Dean Smith coaching tree. There are a lot of branches going a lot of different directions, and as you go down a couple of levels, you'll see some cross-pollination, even with some guys perceived to be Duke guys, as Quinn Snyder sort of branching off the Larry Brown shoot of that coaching tree, which is really significant in and of itself. Larry Brown has had a huge impact on coaches, and Dean Smith had an impact on Larry Brown, for whom Larry played and coached. The Dean Smith mantra, play hard, play together, play smart, have fun, is in the SMU locker room with the Larry Brown addendum. And it'd be nice if we defend and rebound, too. Had a chance to visit with Coach Brown yesterday afternoon.
What was it like for you to go to Coach Smith's memorial service?
Oh, wow. When I heard from Roy Sunday morning, I was devastated. I didn't get to see him in a while. You know, like when you call him, he didn't really know who was on the line. And then I started to read all the unbelievable things that people were saying about him, aside from basketball. And then going to the service and seeing, you know, Michael and Worthy, and everybody had the same feeling I had about him. You know, we all loved him for what he taught us and how he made us all feel like we were the most important person on the team. So I kind of dealt with it a lot better.
You got to always honor the guy that passed you the ball, all right, one, and then honor the guy that screens. It's pretty damn simple.
What's something you...
Right to the core, but he never used profanity. He didn't allow it. He didn't allow us to show off and celebrate. He always used to say, if you made a great play, act like you've done it before. But since the day I played for him, since the day he allowed me to be an assistant coach and freshman coach, I have never deviated from any of the things that he taught me.
You've said before, and you said earlier, that you really enjoy the practices more than the games. Given that, what's your vision for this SMU program?
Well, my vision is that we're going to be the best. You know, I told these kids we're going to win the NCAA championship. Why come to college and not have that as a goal? And certainly we have the things in place that could get us to that point.
What impact has the NCAA notice had on your program or your team?
It hadn't had any effect on the team. You hear about it all the time. It's killed me since I found out about it, July 26th. I hadn't had one good night's sleep. To tell you I have enjoyed 1 minute of this season because of that hanging over my head would be the biggest lie. But I feel confident that it's going to be over with and that we're doing things the right way.
A lot of victories, 1,561 victories for Larry Brown, ABA, NBA, and NCAA combined. The Hall of Famer, the only one to win a national championship and an NBA title.
You're watching College Game Day, covered by State Farm.
Whatever's happening in sports, talk it out with First Take and His and Hers weekdays on ESPN2.
Let's teach them well, let's teach them wise. Make sure we teach them not to lie. Tell them all that.
Behind every open heart is a story. A story about finishing the race, no matter what the obstacles. About rebuilding the bond between a mother and a daughter. When you keep an open heart, amazing things happen. That's what the Open Hearts Rhythm Collection at Kay Jewelers is all about. The constant motion of the diamond catches light from every angle.
Right now, save up to 20% on all Open Hearts jewelry at Kay.
Keep your heart open, and love will always find its way in.
Every kiss begins with K.
Two schools separated by 8 miles, two shades of blue. It's Carolina! It's special day! North Carolina, Duke, the next chapter. Wednesday at 9 on ESPN, the home court of college hoops.
Hi, can you open the razor case, please?
Photo ID.
I'm just grabbing some razors.
Grabbing? Put your index finger in there, sir, please.
I just need to get in a case.
Why do you need to get in the case so bad?
So I can buy some razors?
It's almost like they don't want you to buy their razors. Well, I want you to buy mine. DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing razors for just a few bucks. Noni is the girl that every guy wants.
What's your name?
Gas. And the award goes to?
Noni.
No, wait!
Beyond the Lights.
When did you ever tell me that you didn't want this? When I was on that balcony.
Now available on Dish Cinemas.
Like a Cheez-It and a chip.
Oh, you just put them together. Yes. Closer. Closer. They're kissing.
We take time for our cheese to mature in our crispy Cheez-It grooves.
Cheez-It Real Fans is brought to you by Cheez-It. At Cheez-It, real fans and real cheese matter.
Them Cheez-It real fans in this mod crowd. It's going to be a red out tonight. They're asking all of the fans to wear red. The seats are red in the lower level. Trying to give a little intimidation to UConn, which, by the way, UConn's never beaten SMU. 0-3 all time. Larry Brown is in the Hall of Fame. He will lead SMU tonight. This just came out. Naismith Hall of Fame nominations, couple of notable coaches among the 12 finalists. John Calipari has been nominated for the Hall of Fame. So, too, has Bo Ryan, a four-time national champion at the Division III level, and he took Wisconsin to the Final Four last year. Here's what Coach Cal just tweeted. Just got word that I was nominated as a finalist for the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm at a loss for words. Congratulations to Coach Cal. The class will be announced at the Final Four. These guys are finalists, not necessarily in just yet. Hall of Fame effort down the gut of the last 2 games for Kentucky, though the Wildcats have been pushed. Florida shot it beautifully, but in front of Gameday last week, Coach Cal's team won it by 7. Against LSU on Tuesday night, they seemingly had things in order until Karl Anthony Towns hung on the rim.
Well, Coach, you know that every single team you play is going to bring their best game. How would you describe the game this evening?
We had the game. Karl decided to chin himself up. And the reason I didn't call a timeout, I told them all, I hope they beat us. That's a hero's play. For no reason he did it. That's his growth. There's where he's learning. But then he came back in, huge rebound, huge basket, and he played. It's his immaturity. I'm asking him to grow fast. But it was a good game.
It was a good game because Kentucky survived the last-second 3 from LSU. Karl Anthony Towns, we crack up every time we see it, sneaks in behind Cal and gives it this. What did that signal to you about the whole maturity thing that Cal was talking about?
I actually love it. I think this team has so much pressure on their shoulders to be great. And every day you're hearing about this team being undefeated, the pursuit of perfection, the influence of social media, always reading about yourself. And in order to do something great, you still need to have fun while you're enjoying the ride. And that was a sign to me that they're still having fun throughout this whole process.
I think it talks about the relationship that Cal has with his players. Think about this. He ripped them. All right, he ripped him. He got his attention.
In the process of ripping him right then.
And he was ripping him again. It was a teachable moment, but then he put Karl Anthony Towns back in, and what did Karl Anthony Towns do?
Won the game for
He
him.
responded, basket after basket. And then at the end of the game, it's over with. It's time to move on. To me, it speaks volumes of his relationship with his players. Because if you have a real relationship with your players, you can get after them, coach them hard, and they'll respond because they trust you.
Kentucky, by the way, can match the best start in school history. 2 o'clock Eastern on ESPN against South Carolina to go 25-0. You guys are kind of missing the point, making it way too serious. I mean, take a look at this Karl Anthony Towns move here. What about Karl's photobomb game? I think it's pretty strong.
He's like a male model. Look, chin down. I like it.
Is he an ambi-turner?
Ambi-turner.
Now, what mistake did Cal make as a coach to prevent the photobomb?
Obviously, he needed a little security. You think a guy like Cal, a potential Hall of Famer? Cal, you need security when you're going down the air. You got to block out Karl Anthony Towns.
He needs to box out.
Can't block that guy out.
Cal was talking about boxing out. Hey, physician, heal thyself. Box Karl Anthony out of the photobomb. Wildcats, BPI, by the way, gives Kentucky a 71% chance of finishing the regular season undefeated. They get South Carolina this afternoon. Time to announce where we're headed for College Game Day next week, and that will be University of Arizona. Well, what a performance they had against Washington last night, and we'll see the Wildcats take on UCLA as we go back to the McHale Center for Arizona and UCLA next week. College Game Day coming from the Pac-12. Time now for our Wendy's Wooden Watch, and a guy you're going to see at the top of the hour on ESPN, D'Angelo Russell, one of 2 players in the nation going 19-5-5, and the first player in the major conferences to put up those types of numbers since Evan Turner did it in the 2010-11 season, ironically enough, also for Ohio State. They take on Michigan State. I believe, I'm going to say it, I take Okafor first in the draft. I think D'Angelo Russell is the best college player in the country. So, with that in mind, last week we had the College Game Day player draft standings where the guys selected players. You get a point for performance, also get 10 points when the team wins. And notorious BERG is leading the way, and you're bringing up the rear.
It's all right. It's a marathon. Wait, time out first off. Last week I was in first place. It's a marathon.
Okay, it is a marathon. And a reminder of the stakes. The 2 losers have to have the winner's face tattooed on their person in a henna tattoo. Anniversary of the dunk. Who are the best dunkers in college basketball today? We tell you when you come back.
Wendy's Wooden Watch is brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2015 John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award.
Wendy's natural cut sea salt fries, just 99 cents.
They'll change the way you see change. Enjoy 6 starting at 99 cents each.
That's your new boss?
Yeah.
She's been to London, Paris, and her son plays baseball.
You psychic?
I speak Pandora. He went to Jared.
Find these Pandora styles exclusively at Jared.
You're good.
I know.
That's why he went to Jared.
Would you be willing to give up sharing your moment? Sacrifice streaming all night long? Is it okay to drop a connection when you need it most? If you're not on the largest, most reliable network, what are you giving up?
I'm not crying. It's just poison in my eyes.
Unfinished business.
Do it, throw it. What happened? Just throw it. The waiting's the worst part.
Rated R.
Getaway. A bold choice to explore somewhere far from the regular or the routine. To see the world from a fresh perspective. And with all-wheel drive, advanced safety features, and a more spacious interior, the world ahead will feel just as comfortable as the one you leave behind. Introducing the more capable, more refined, all-new Kia Sorento, the perfect getaway vehicle.
Lease the Sorento LX front-wheel drive for $249 a month.
All cars are racing against time. Some are just doing better than others. Save 25% on durable Firestone Destination LE2 tires for your SUV at Firestone Complete Auto Care. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
That is big time. The Wildcats' pursuit of perfection continues against the Gamecocks. Then the number 4 Blue Devils battle the rival Orange. South Carolina, Kentucky at 2. Then Duke, Syracuse at 6:15. Today on ESPN.
Excuse me, do you have the keys for the razor case?
No.
Can anyone help me get some razors?
No.
It's kind of like they don't want you to buy razors. DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing razors for just a few bucks.
This is an urgent message for Xarelto users. If you or a loved one used the blood thinner Xarelto and suffered from uncontrollable bleeding, you may be entitled to a financial award. Call 1-800-214-1600 or go to injurycenter.com. If you used Xarelto as a blood thinner and suffered from gastrointestinal bleeding, a brain hemorrhage, internal bleeding, hospitalization, or your loved one has died due to bleeding while on Xarelto, call 1-800-214-1600 now or go to injurycenter.com.
I go back to 1981 when Ralph Sampson dunked over James Worthy on an alley-oop lob that was about 1.5 feet above the rim. He threw it down with authority.
My first ever college road game, we played North Carolina. They ran a backdoor lob, and Michael Jordan dunked the ball so hard. Brings back the memories of maybe playing is not in your future, you may want to coach.
Vince Carter is the best college dunker of all time. Just a freak athlete, and he's so stylish with it.
You talk about memorable, I would say, you know, Jerome Lane at Pittsburgh, Send It In Jerome by Bill Raftery, I'd say would probably be the most memorable one.
70 seasons since the first dunk in college basketball from Oklahoma A&M's Bob Curlin. You know, Wyoming forward Larry Nance Jr. has the dunk in his genes. His dad, Larry Nance, won the NBA Slam Dunk Contest, and Nance plays with much of the same electrifying type of athleticism. The Cowboys' leading scorer and rebounder is out right now, facing a bout of mononucleosis. That's only part of the physical ailments that Nance has been able to overcome and will continue to face for the rest of his life. But he attacks all of this as if he were soaring in for a tomahawk dunk, as the dunk on this anniversary season of it is a big part of the Nance family.
At 7,220 feet above sea level, Laramie, Wyoming has always been known for its elevation. Then came Larry Nance Jr., and now fans simply call it Dunktown.
Freshman year, I had one against San Diego State where I took off from about maybe a foot inside the free throw line, and seemed like I was in the air forever, and that's kind of what got it some national attention. But I'd say my favorite was San Diego State this year.
Nance takes it to the rim, and the dunk.
Because I thought my head was going to hit the rim.
Larry Nance Jr. here in Dunktown.
He's not necessarily following Dad's footsteps. He's a pretty aggressive dunker.
Larry Nance Sr. sits on a lofty perch in slam dunk history. As a member of the Phoenix Suns, he outdunked Julius Erving in 1984 for the first NBA Slam Dunk Contest trophy.
I am really proud that I won the first one in the NBA. I'm really proud I beat Dr. J.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched that 1984 dunk contest.
Through 2 years of high school, Nance Jr. wasn't even a college prospect, let alone a dunk artist.
As a sophomore, I was 5'10". I was a very bad basketball player, and I was the backup shooting guard on JV.
We used to go to games, and he would just stand out there and jack up threes and didn't have a lot of energy.
I'm sure there was some scuttlebutt. It's like, what? You know, this kid's supposed to be fantastic, isn't he?
Then we would come home, he would just sit down in a chair and, you know, I just like, man, you are the laziest kid. I don't know how you're going to play basketball.
I said, he's got to be low on iron. I've heard that'll make you lethargic. So we took him in, and from that, it was just a whirlwind week from what they saw in the blood test.
The test revealed Nance had Crohn's disease, a chronic inflammation of the digestive tract. That left him weak and undersized.
His whole system was just filled with ulcers, just huge ulcers all over his body.
The prescription was a drug called Remicade, taken intravenously approximately once every 7 weeks.
It was almost miraculous at the fact that the second I got that drug, I didn't want to sleep after school anymore. My appetite was back to normal. It was night and day difference for me.
He was just a new person and started loving basketball.
As Nance grew from 5'10" to 6'8" in 2 years, his game blossomed under the radar of most big-time college recruiters. Now a senior at Wyoming, the Mountain West Preseason Player of the Year welcomes the comparisons to his father.
That two-ball dunk that I think is so great, he does that pretty easy, so I'm mad at him about that.
I've actually one-upped him recently. I put down 3. So, of course, I had to send him that video, and we always joke back and forth.
Jamel Hill doing a great job with that story on Larry Nance Jr. Wyoming trying to fight their way into bubble consideration. They've got to try to persevere until Nance gets back, probably on the backside of that right now, having won 19 games. You know, Fog Allen said that the dunk was inelegant, wanted to outlaw it from the game. Fog, you named yourself a heck of a field house, but we need the dunk. So when you look at the best dunker in college basketball right now, who's your guy?
I got to go out to Columbus, Ohio, represent the Ohio State. Sam Thompson is the best dunker in college basketball right now. 6'6" with a 42-inch vertical. He does not care who is in his way. He flies with the airplanes that high, Seth. His rim, his head is always touching the rim. Look at this, like, ooh, that's a strong one.
Seth?
Yeah, you're talking about a 6'6" guy. I'm talking about a 6-footer, Kiefer Sykes. You're talking about a guy you can back screen, throw it over the top. He runs the floor, 2-foot jumper, punch it on you for the love of elevation. Bartender, give me some hops. This guy is the real deal. And, by the way, Miami, you might want to find him on the side out of bounds play.
They're all backups to Michael Qualls, who 11 times has been on the SportsCenter top 10 in his career. 11. All of them dunks, 3 of them this year. His Twitter handle is @MrWalkOnAir. He's got 25 dunks this season. Hey, Michael, Uptown dunk you up. The best dunker in college basketball. Jay Billis is back with us now from Syracuse. So, Jay, as you look on this anniversary season of the dunk, who's the best dunker in the game right now?
Well, it's hard to go against Sam Thompson of Ohio State, but let me give you another one. That's John Brown of High Point. It's amazing that he's even playing college basketball. He just started playing basketball as a junior in high school. He was a JV football quarterback. He has unbelievable hops, 6'8", really athletic, just coming off a 34-point game against Winthrop this last week. He is a big-time dunker, and the ball hits the ground. He dunks with power. The ball hits the ground before he does. And he dunks on the way up. Big-time dunker.
All of these guys, a ton of fun to watch, and we want to get you involved. Right now, we want you to tweet us with your vote for what I'm about to show you. The best dunks of the year. You can tweet at ESPNCBB. Use the hashtag for love of the dunk. So without further ado, here are, I hate that phrase, by the way. I can't believe I just said that. The best dunks of the year. How about Jerry Grant?
Oh! You talk about climbing up the chest of a player. Just elevate it. I mean, he could pretty much do the Vince Carter dunk, put your elbow in the rim.
Hey, we saw one from this guy, Willie Cauley-Stein, last week.
Willie Cauley-Stein's like a human highlight film. He runs the floor, and you can throw it anywhere, and he's going to catch it and finish it. And by the way, when he goes baseline, he might climb your chest, too.
Dorian Finney-Smith of Florida. This turned out to be a game-winning dunk right over Michael Kessens of Alabama.
Right in the face.
Dodo for
chest to chest.
I thought this might be popular here. How about Ben Moore of SMU?
Oh, the
voting here?
Pass. I gotta love that.
Pony up, Ben Moore. Pony up.
Uniforms.
So those are the nominees. Let us know what your vote is. We'll announce it later on the nighttime version of College Game Day just before the SMU-UConn game here tonight. So we've given you the best dunker right now, the best individual dunks. What about 70 years after Bob Curlin did it the first time? What about the best dunker of all time in college basketball?
I have to go with Vince Carter. Vince Carter, to see him do dunks was purely, I mean, that is pizzazz. That's every adjective in the book. He just gets over the top of people. And by the way, he stole the ball from me and played with Toronto and went on the fast break and did a reverse 360 windmill. Who does that in the game?
I'm going to pick a guy that wasn't allowed to dunk. That's how good this guy was. David Thompson. He was a genetic freak. He actually played for Larry Brown for the Denver Nuggets. Look at David. His head is at the rim. Please let the big boy throw it down right there. He was impossible to defend, and he took over the NBA above the rim.
That's serious creativity, Seth. The guy who couldn't even dunk. I'm going with Clyde Drexler, the pledge master of Phi Slamma Jamma. That dude jumped over Andre Turner and posterized Charles Jones in the Final Four. Just so smooth. The glide, his nickname was perfect. I think Clyde Drexler is the greatest college dunkmeister of all time. So, Billis, what say you about the greatest dunker in the history of college basketball?
Well, Clyde Drexler, especially when he jumped over Andre Turner, is tough to beat. But I'll take you back to 1985 and a graceful, powerful dunker that goes along the baseline and reverse dunks against Virginia. One young Jay Billis. Just a phenomenal athlete, incredibly strong, takes a pass off penetration from Johnny Dawkins and reverse dunks against pressure. You don't see that kind of play every day. Just phenomenal. It was athletic. It was awesome with a capital A, to borrow a phrase from one of our colleagues. And I'll tell you what, Reese, only Seth Greenberg would pick for greatest dunker someone who wasn't allowed to dunk. Like David Thompson, one of the greatest dunkers in ABA and NBA history, but he wasn't allowed to dunk in college, and Greenberg picks him. Are you kidding?
But I agree with you totally. If you're going to reach into the past, Jay, I will have a voice that perhaps resonates in your head. I don't recall giving you permission to stuff the ball. I'm not sure anybody. Let's see Jay Williams dunked all time, Seth.
Punch it, big boy, punch!
Okay,
I have the same legs for defense, guys.
Jay, try 2 feet. Go up. Layup's as good as a dunk, Jay Will. Sometimes you need that off-court assist, right?
Guys, last week, State Farm challenged the SMU student body to show their off-court assist. This week's winner is Philip Griggs. Philip, come over here, buddy. Did a really good job. Congratulations. You get a plaque. You also can be involved in this. Don't forget, you can win a grand prize, a postseason experience in Indianapolis by sharing your off-court assist. Anyone can win. Anyone can enter.
Thank you, the greatest banked-in layup maker of all time in college basketball. We're trying to give away $18,000. The State Farm half-court shot is coming up when you come back.
That's cold-blooded.
You're watching College Game Day, covered by State Farm.
Check out all these airline seats. Lots of them, right? But when you try to get one by using your travel rewards card miles, those seats mysteriously vanish. Why? All the flights you want are blacked out, or they hit you up for some outrageous number of miles. Switch to the Venture card from Capital One. With Venture, use your miles on any airline, any flight, anytime. No blackout dates. And with every purchase, you'll earn unlimited double miles. Now we're getting somewhere. What's in your wallet?
Oh, is that the Wendy's bacon and blue?
Yep. I love me some blue cheese.
Blue cheese? What do you think? You're better than me?
Come on. I mean, yeah, it has bacon and blue cheese aioli.
Oh, the aioli. You do think you're better than me.
Don't forget the brioche bun.
Brioche bun? You definitely think you're better than me.
I don't think I'm better than you just because it has blue cheese.
Blue cheese? What, you think you're better than him?
Wendy's new bacon and blue on brioche. 100% fresh beef, Wisconsin blue cheese, and apple with smoked bacon. What could be better than that?
Man, I can't believe they sent us down there to work.
Me either. Hey, I wasn't too out of sync, was I?
Nah. And if you were, I bet nobody even noticed.
85% of people who travel will go someplace they've already been. Where's the fun in that? It's time to find someplace new. Book the hotel you want with the flight you want, and we'll find the savings to get you there.
When Hollywood's premier jewelry designer, Neil Lane, creates a ring for today's biggest stars, he designs it to look fabulous from every angle. And for his collection at Kay Jewelers, he does the exact same thing. Yes. Neil Lane Bridal, uniquely beautiful handcrafted rings at Kay, the #1 jewelry store in America.
My collection is vintage inspired, with flowing lines that evoke a sense of timelessness, because I want every woman to feel like a star.
Every kiss begins with Kay.
A normal incandescent bulb uses about $7 worth of energy per year. This Cree LED bulb uses about $1. If you argue with math, you will lose.
The Cree LED bulb.
If you're gonna fish like the pros, you gotta wake up early like the pros. Here's a tip. Use a reliable alarm clock.
Throughout the Bass Pro Shop Spring Fishing Classic, get instant savings of up to $100 when you purchase gear with your Bass Pro MasterCard, and save up to $50 using any other MasterCard credit card. Plus, save up to $100 on a rod or reel when you trade one in.
I'm outside. Where are you?
I'm right here. I'm in the Buick.
I don't see a Buick.
Oh, got it.
Encore, the expectation-shattering crossover from Buick.
Wow.
Now during the Buick President's Day event, lease this 2015 Encore with these premium services for 24 months for around $199 per month.
College Game Day is covered by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state.
Big pep rally on Friday night at the Rustic for SMU. A lot of big heads in the crowd. Mustangs tonight will have red-out conditions in the mob as they get set to take on UConn. Coming up top of the hour on ESPN3, Roy Williams and North Carolina will take on Pittsburgh. This is North Carolina's first game since the death of Dean Smith. Roy Williams, the Hall of Famer, leading his team in, and they will pay tribute to Coach Smith with his initials on the Carolina jerseys this afternoon as they get set to take on the Panthers. You can see it on ESPN3. Here are the slate of games on Saturday, some of which we will be picking in a matter of moments. Some key games on the ESPN networks, Ohio State and Michigan State. Coming up at noon, as soon as we finish here at Game Day, you'll see #1 Kentucky try to match the best start in school history immediately following that game at 2 o'clock Eastern time. You know what time it is now. It's time to try to give away some of State Farm's hard-earned money. $18,000 up for grabs in the State Farm half-court shot, representing the 18,000 State Farm agents across North America. That's Jim Goldsworthy. He's the State Farm agent. And Shamik Malvia, a freshman here at SMU. You know how the game's played. Yes, sir. He's going to give you the money. Shot clock at 18. Let's go. Let's go, big boy. I got a good feeling. Put it in.
First one. I got a good feeling.
He's on. He's on.
Oh, right on.
Not bad. Plenty of time, babe. Plenty of time.
You got it? Oh, yeah, that's it.
Here you go, Shamik.
A little right. It's a little right. A little higher. A little higher. Come on, baby.
Get it.
Get it.
Yeah. Hey, let's have a look. Shamik Malvia, the second person this year to win the $18,000 from State Farm.
Awesome.
Shamik, congratulations. He's lost his microphone. Jim's happy to give away that money. Congratulations. Don't spend it all in one place. How about that?
That's amazing.
We have found some shooters up in this piece.
It's about time this year we got some winners.
Giving away the $18,000 twice, and perhaps that is a good omen for what's to come. Hey, you know what? Shamik can buy his girl a great Valentine's gift with that 18 grand on Valentine's Day. Why not have Denzel Valentine of Michigan State against Mark Loving, who has returned from suspension? Proof that if somehow things are going awry with your Valentine, a little loving can get you back in good graces. I tell you what, Shamik's under some pressure now. If he doesn't have a Valentine, he's going to have one before he walks out of the Coliseum, I'll bet you. Wouldn't you guess? It is time now for our Saturday selections, brought to you by Buick. So let's make a few picks. Perhaps we'll see some surprises. Let's start with that Valentine special. Denzel Valentine against Mark Loving, Ohio State and Michigan State.
Well, it's going to be an intriguing matchup, and I think it's critical that MSU find a way to really get underneath D'Angelo. How does it feel, Russell? If they can stop him, Michigan State has to get a win at home because they're in the bubble.
Wait, who are you picking?
Michigan State.
I mean, you give all the
I waffle a little bit.
Pick a little bit. I got Michigan State. They're going to step up to the line and make free throws. That's where they've struggled. This is an efficient offensive team. They rebound the ball. I'm going with Sparty.
Big 12 has a myriad every week of matchups of ranked opponents. This time it's Baylor playing very well, going into the Fog to take on Kansas.
Hard for me to go against my game day fantasy draft pick Enrico Gathers, but I really like the way this KU team is playing. You know, they're finding a way to get together, and everything goes through Perry Ellis. Perry Ellis is the boss, as Artie always says.
Kansas must rebound the basketball. Baylor's one of the best rebounding teams in all of college basketball. Waiting, selling, seeing a big basket. I like Kansas attacking the zone. Kansas wins.
You know, maybe it's time not to overlook the Big East as much as some have. There's a ranked matchup, some calling it one of the biggest games in the history of Hinkle Fieldhouse. Hey, we're not finished. Stop blowing.
We're not done.
Villanova and Butler, 6 versus 18. Who wins it?
Villanova might have one of the best backcourts in the nation that nobody talks about. Ryan Arcidiacono, Darren Hilliard. These guys can really play. I think their backcourt's can be too much for the backcourt of Butler.
I think the maturity and the physicality of Villanova, the ability to change their defenses, which changes the tempo. They make enough shots. They got toughness. Unbelievable atmosphere in Hinkle tonight, but I still think Villanova finds a way to win.
We're going to have an unbelievable atmosphere in Moody Coliseum tonight for SMU taking on UConn. A little bit of a note here. Think about this. SMU hasn't won a tournament game since the season in which Larry Brown won all of his, 1988. He's on a 6-game tournament winning streak. So is Kevin Ollie of the reigning national champion UConn Huskies. Who wins the game tonight, UConn or SMU?
It's the battle of backcourts. I think Ryan Boatwright, Nick Moore is a push. It's what's up front that counts. I think SMU front court dominates the game. Kennedy and Rhea, SMU in the podium.
I think it's time it's going to happen tonight. I think it's time it's going to happen tonight. Right here. Right here. Wait. It's going to be time for this. Oh, you didn't see that coming, did you? Pony up, baby. Pony up tonight.
With the endorsement of Jay Williams, king of the layup makers. SMU and UConn. Here comes Ohio State, Michigan State.
All right, Reese, thanks very much. It is a good day to be Denzel Valentine. Will it be his day on Valentine's Day? Michigan State and Ohio State just about set to tip here in East Lansing. A game of vital importance.